What is up, guys? It's your boy, Rick. I was always a Warlock main, CALUS, and today, do we have an awesome Solar 3.0 Warlock build to showcase today. Really, my favorite part about this build is that you're taking really powerful and proven aspects of Solar 3.0, things that are already very meta, being used by other builds out there that are very popular, you're combining them and making them even more powerful. So what the heck am I talking about? Well, first of all, I did finally have to stop playing my Loreley Titan. It was a hard thing to do, and as a Titan main, I didn't want to do it. But admittedly, holy crap, there's some powerful things you can do on Warlock and Hunter this season as well. So, like I said, you're taking really powerful aspects from the meta, and one of those is the CALUS Mini Tool. I made a video talking about how I think this is the single best craftable weapon added this season in the entire game. Like, this thing, especially with the brand new incandescent perk, is nuts. For those of you guys who have it, who've been using it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Lighting massive groups of enemies on fire, the ignitions going off, just incredible for crowd control. And as a result, this is one of the most used weapons this season, especially for Solar 3.0 builds. So how do we take this thing and dial it up to 11? Well, we're leaning into its most powerful feature, which is that new incandescent perk. And we're doing so with the help of a Warlock exotic here, the Dawn Chorus. So what this says is the following. The intrinsic armor perk is Rites of Ember. Your daybreak projectiles cause targets to scorch on contact. Your scorch effects deal more damage, and you gain a small amount of melee energy each time your scorch effects damage a target. So yes, this affects every single scorch effect. So incandescent, your melees, your grenades, anything that inflicts a scorch, Dawn Chorus is going to increase that scorch damage. But by how much? Well, I went and tested it, and let's just say when you guys see the results, you'll probably start making this build immediately. So, as you can see, normally without Dawn Chorus, I am triggering incandescent, and the numbers are as follows. Initially, there's a big spike in damage that's going to deal anywhere from 1,300-ish damage to a little above 1,400 damage. Then there's a midpoint of 512 damage. You're going to see this 512 number a lot. So it spikes, it kind of plateaus at 512 for quite a while, and then it goes down, and the lowest number I ever saw was 196 at the very end of a really long scorch effect. All right. Now, what about if I put Dawn Chorus on? Well, now that initial spike is going up to around 4,800 damage. The midpoint, the number that you see over and over again, you can see in the background gameplay, that is going to be 1,536, and then the endpoint, the lowest number I saw, was 630. Again, these numbers are not perfect because, like Scorch, really the damage depends on how long it lasts, but that midpoint is the important thing. That is the number you're going to see most commonly, and in this case, it's literally triple, right? Like 512 times 3 is exactly 1,536. Tripling the Scorch damage is insane. It means that any red bar you touch with incandescent is guaranteed to die, right? Like, they're going to tick, at least a few times for 50 times. They're dead. And it also means that any yellow bar involved, any even boss that gets hit with incandescent or any scorch effect, really, now you're really doing a considerable amount of damage. Like, you're out-ticking Witherhoard and stuff like that. You are really doing a considerable amount of damage with the Dawn Chorus scorch effects. And yeah, it is absolutely worth throwing it together to get that massive tripling of damage. So let's look at the rest of the build. So, Obviously, the piece de resistance is a good CALUS Mini Tool. I have enhanced threat detector plus enhanced incandescent, which is going to make your Scorch last longer and do, way more damage now with Dawn Chorus. Then for another Scorch effect, what we're actually using here is the fixed odds machine gun from the Duality Dungeon. So I have enhanced field prep for more ammo, and then incandescent. Guys, this thing is incredible for crowd control, and it's really, really fantastic when you have yellow bars that, are a little bit troublesome to deal with just a primary SMG. Because of that 40% damage buff machine guns got this season, you can really, if you need to get that Scorch effect going, you want to get enemies burning, you want to get them igniting, all that stuff, and, maybe you're a little bit at distance, again, there's more powerful enemies, you whip out the fixed odds, and then you just go to town and you really start chaining those insane Solar 3.0 effects. Then I'm just using an incredible, primary Wither Horde. Frankly, you can use whatever you want here. I mean, Wither Horde's cracked, so why not use it? Now, when we're talking about your subclass, obviously, firstly, we're using Daybreak, because again, Dawn Chorus is going to add a Scorch effect to Daybreak, significantly increasing the damage of this super. So now it's a legitimate thing to use against, bosses, and it's just more deadly overall. So we got to take advantage of that. Then the next thing you should be using is, actually, you could use either melee, Celestial Flare. It doesn't say it has a Scorch effect, but as you can see, they actually buffed it and added a Scorch effect, so you can use this, but Incinerator Snap is also going to add a Scorch effect, so either one is great. Now, for the aspects, really the only one that you need to be using here is Touch of Flame, 2 fragment slots, and that's going to increase basically the lethality, the usefulness of all your grenades. And for your grenade, I am going to be using the Solar Grenade, which is just going to apply Scorch stacks, which again are massively increased in damage when enemies are trapped inside, and with Touch of Flame, it's going to be emitting even more explosions and projectiles and so on. Then for the fragments, we have Ember of Ashes. First and foremost, you apply more Scorch stacks to targets, so darn good, and that's going to mean enemies ignite and have that big area of effect, damaging explosion way more often. Then after that, we have Ember of Singeing, where now you get more class ability energy when you Scorch targets. Amazing, just more rifts is fantastic. Ember of Searing, so defeating Scorch targets grants melee energy and plus 10 recovery. Great, and again, it's just going to keep all those Scorch effects going because we get to use our Scorch causing melee more often. And then lastly, I actually do have Ember of Wonder, and I think this is a bit of a flex slot, but this says rapidly defeating multiple targets with solar ignitions generates an orb of power, and it gives you plus 10 resilience, which is incredibly good right now because it's PvE damage resistance. So this is actually going to trigger a lot. You get a lot of kills from ignition explosions, and those orbs are definitely not wasted for your class, which again has a power increased super that you want to be using much more often. Now, taking a look at the rest of the build for mods, we're actually going to be using Solar Fulmination. So your ignitions gain increased damage and increased radius. So way higher chance to get multi-kills and again trigger that fragment we just looked at. But another thing you could use here is Radiant Orbs. Picking up an Orb of Power makes you radiant. Again, works great with that fragment we just looked at. But honestly, if you just want great neutral game, classy restoration, you can use that with, combine it with Healing Well even, or use Empowering Rift. Gonna be fantastic. Then we have Font of Might. I mean, pick up a Solar Elemental Well, 25% more damage for your CALUS Mini Tool and fixed odds, amazing. Then we have Well of Life, just gonna give you constant regeneration, so darn good. Then we actually have Seeking Wells because I had an Arc chest piece. This is awesome, honestly. It makes it so that you don't have to go out of your way, potentially into dangerous positions to get those Elemental Wells to trigger all the stuff. They're now going to be drawn to you, which is awesome. And then after that, we are going to be running an elemental armaments. We're getting a ton of solar weapon kills. This is going to be triggering pretty often. And then actually, I am running a melee WELLMAKER because with Dawn Chorus granting that extra melee energy, and then also with the fragment, we have our melee quite a bit. So this is actually a pretty reliable way to get those solar elemental wells. However, I would consider this a bit of a flex slot. You can use something else if you want. And so guys, there you have it. Honestly, if you were already running weapons with incandescent like I know I was, you gotta try out this build because it takes the stuff that you're already used to doing and just dials it to 11. Holy crap, you're gonna kill one guy and watch an entire spawning wave of enemies die from it. Just crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.